You are watching Nimasa This Week, the official mouthpiece of the Nigerian maritime sector. Hello and welcome. My name is Iretiola Doyle. The Gulf of Guinea has grown to become one of the important economic zones in Africa, and with the steady growth and progress of this zone has come a shortfall in security issues. Now, the International Maritime Organization, well aware of the importance of the Gulf of Guinea to the smooth operations of commerce and international trade for the region, organized a conference in conjunction with Nimasa to tackle the security issues as well as protect our natural resources. Our waterways correspondent Amadakwa was present and filed in this report.
The Gulf of Guinea has grown to become one of the important economic zones in Africa. With a steady economic progress in the Gulf of Guinea came the rise in criminal activities by economic saboteurs in that zone. The Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, Nimasa, in conjunction with the Nigerian Navy, Air Force and other security agencies and interest groups, through a joint action approach, have severally curtailed and thwarted the activities of these unpatriotic elements on our territorial waters. In consolidation of the successes achieved through the joint action approach, it became glaring that there was a need to widen the scope of the consultation and encourage further intergovernmental cooperation amongst various interest groups to tackle the scourge of piracy, robbery at sea, and other illicit activities that have constituted a huge drain to the nation's economy. It was in the light of this that Nimasa, in conjunction with IMO, put together a two-day conference to underscore the potency of collective maritime strategy and efficacy of information sharing. The event took place at Eco Hotel in Victoria Island and drew attendance from diverse government agencies and interest groups. The Nigerian Navy, Air Force, Immigration, Custom, Police, as well as government parastatals such as NOSRA and NMPC came to add their inputs to the discourse. Captain Waridi revealed at the conference that the insecurity going on in the Gulf of Guinea has become a big business venture, backed by local and global cartels for financial gains.
As we speak today, maritime security or maritime insecurity is providing income to a whole lot of organizations. As we speak, the negotiating centers are not even within 10 world countries. It's a big problem. They are Western countries. Some of them are in Minnesota, USA, where they call themselves crisis management centers. So if you get a ship hijacked, the first call you will get is from one of those places.
One of the resource persons from the International Maritime Organization, IMO, declared that they are not in Nigeria to impose any security model on the country, but to assist in fashioning out a national security program tailor-made to deal with the vagaries and peculiarities existing in the maritime domain to stem the tides of lawlessness happening on our waterways. The representative of the Controller General of Nigerian Immigration Service, Mrs. Olayemi, spoke on the importance of building a strong synergy amongst the security agencies and reaffirmed the willingness of the agency to work with other members of the group.
There is urgent need for building up a strong synergy among the security officers by establishing a strong joint patrol to protect the marine zone. And intelligent information sharing is of paramount importance too, to allow all to sweep into action simultaneously to arrest crisis.
Before the end of the exercise, we caught up with Captain Waridi Eniswa, the Director of Shipping Development at Nimasa, and Chris Trelorin, Senior Deputy Director, Maritime Safety Division of IMO. They both spoke on the essence of the conference and the need for a united front to fight the vandals who perpetrate all sorts of illicit activities on our territorial waters.
One of the problems we do experience is the fact that while we have very effective individual operating bases, we do not have an effective collective operating scenarios. So we've decided to bring all the arms that we're going to require in case of a maritime emergency or incident. So come and see, share information, network, collect points of contact, and see how we're going to go. So over the few days to come, we're going to be having a couple of scenarios, exercises that the IMO is going to bring up, and those exercises will, one way or the other, stimulate our minds and how we can work together in an event that is a real situation.
This meeting is one of a series of similar events, tabletop exercises, that IMO has been conducting in West and Central Africa over the last year and a half. And the idea is to promote a joined-up approach to maritime security in its widest sense. This includes things like countering piracy, armed robbery against ships, but also other illicit activities, such as terrorism against oil platforms or against ships, smuggling of drugs, weapons, people, illegal fishing, and so on. So,
there is no doubt that the frequency of programs such as this will send a clear signal that Nigeria is serious about securing its maritime domain and ridding it of all sorts of criminal and illicit activities. With this coordinated national response approach, the days of criminals and those perpetrating evils on our territorial waters are indeed numbered.
The Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, Nimasa, under the leadership of its Director General, Mr. Zakede Patrick Akpoblokemi, is totally committed to its mandate to grow human capacity and to build the entire maritime sector. Now, the giant strides of the Director General have not gone unnoticed. Recently, the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, conferred upon the DG an award of excellence. This ceremony took place at the agency's headquarters here in Lagos. Our senior correspondent, Amanda Akwan, was present and files in her report.
Since his appointment as Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, Nimasa, Mr. Zakede Patrick Akpoblokemi initiated a series of meetings with stakeholders and various interest groups in the industry to solicit their cooperation and inputs to the huge assignment entrusted on him in transforming the maritime industry. 3 years down the lane, the Director General of Nimasa has worked tirelessly with his team of competent management staff to keep his promises to the industry stakeholders in Nigeria in transforming the maritime sector. He has instilled the much-needed decorum at the house where he holds court. In the area of capacity building, his outstanding support for the Maritime Academy of Nigeria, Oron, and the training of 2,500 seafarers in international maritime institutions around the world is unprecedented. The biggest of his achievements so far is the siting of Nigeria's first maritime university in Okerenkoko Delta State, which was commissioned by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, GCFR, recently, amongst many other achievements. Already becoming the longest-serving Nimasa helmsman since the inception of the agency in 2006, there is no doubt that Mr. Zakede Patrick Akpoblokemi deserves all the numerous awards he has bagged to his credit. The latest of his awards is the Award of Excellence by the National Association of Nigerian Students, who visited the headquarters of the agency to present the DG with the prestigious award. The team of comrades was led by Comrade Oladotun Olaiwola, who represented the president of the Students Association, Comrade Yinka Gbadebo. Mr. Akpoblokemi, alongside senior management staff of the agency, was present to receive the students. The visit started on a lighter note with the students rendering different songs to extol the virtue of the DG.
You are a
Comrade Akinlade Adekunle, Chairman Award Committee for the Students Association, tells us why the DG was selected.
The major reason why we are here is that it's because of our DG here, our Director General, because of all the things that he has been doing. This committee, the national body set up a committee to look into some people that have been doing their best to the upliftment of the country, that have done their best, their famous best. And when his name came up, we checked it, we looked into it, we checked his achievements, and we see that he is worthy of our award.
The representative of the president's nuns, Comrade Oladotun Olaiwola, applauded the DG for setting up the 4 cardinal points which has transformed the maritime sector in such a short period of time. He then requested that the leadership of the agency help inculcate some members of the association who would need job placements, IT programs and mandatory programs, as this will help them gain the necessary experience in the maritime industry. The DG Nimasa Ziakede Patrick Apobulakaimi responded by welcoming the students and praised their efforts so far in representing the Nigerian students in a positive way, and promised that the agency will assist the association with IT placements and sea-time trainings in order to help improve the lives of the students.
So we appreciate what NAS is. We know what NAS is, so we are not going to preach it to our members. So we all know that NAS represents the collective consciousness of the Nigerian students. And in some contexts, some of our management staff here and possibly staff here could be in other forms of academic endeavors in the university system, polytechnics or colleges of education. So NAS is our own and we are NAS.
The leader of the Students Association, Comrade Olaiwola, then proceeded to present the award of honor to the Director General of Nimasa on behalf of the association. As a sign of friendship and appreciation, the DG then presented the comrades with a plaque from the agency.
Regardless of how hard we try, it is completely impossible to cover every aspect of our maritime trade in any one edition of our show. So what you want to do is to stay tuned, because after the break, we will be presenting you with another in-depth report on a different aspect of our maritime industry.
The ratification of the Maritime Labour Convention 2006 by Nigeria and the deposition of the instrument of ratification at the International Labour Organization headquarters in Geneva on the 18th June 2013 marked a milestone in the nation's maritime history. From that day to the present day, Nimasa, as the competent authority, has kept faith with the implementation of Nigeria's action plan, coordinating into force of the convention in June 18, 2014. The agency has been putting all in place to ensure that successfully Nigerians will commence implementation of the provisions of the MLC 2006. Last week, the agency organized a tripartite stakeholders meeting to fast-track the processes that will lead to the domestication of the MLC 2006 in Nigeria. The agency took a step further by organizing a 5-day training program for selected staff of the Maritime Labour Department and the Maritime Safety Department of Nimasa, in line with the provisions of the Maritime Labour Convention. The opening ceremony of the training program had in attendance senior management staff of Nimasa, captains of industry, consultants of the MLC 2006 by ILO, representative of the Abuja MOU, selected staff of the Maritime Labour Department and Maritime Safety Department of Nimasa, and distinguished guests. The Executive Director, Maritime Safety and Shipping Development in Nimasa, Captain Ezekiel Balagaba, stood in for the Director General of Nimasa, Ziakede Patrick Apobulakaimi, and gave his opening remarks.
The need for the training is obvious. We need to know so that we don't go on board and embarrass the agency or the country. The issue, because if a vessel is not certified or is not in compliance, you have the power to detain. And immediately you detain a vessel, the flag authority of that country, of the vessels, normally inquire, why is my vessel under detention? Now, if you give an explanation that is not worthy of the detention, it becomes an embarrassment. It goes to IMO meetings and they raise it up on the floor, and you find yourself in trouble.
Barrister Kalisti Sobi Nwabweze, the Director of Maritime Labour and Cabotage Services, also speaking at the meeting, explained the reason for the joint training between the Maritime Labour Services Department and the Maritime Safety Department, and mentioned some of the landmarks achievements made so far since the adoption of the MLC 2006 Convention.
with the cumulative force of the convention in Nigeria on June 18, 2014, that's less than 2 weeks from now. The training is not only critical but crucial, as it is expected that those who satisfactorily complete the course and are recommended will proceed to conduct the relevant inspections.
Representing the Abuja MOU, Engineer Owolabi praised Nimasa for going ahead to domesticate the MLC 2006 and for also taking the initiative to train authorized individuals and inspectors going on board vessels to carry out inspections and survey. He then spoke on the agency's performance in carrying out our port and flag state inspections from 2012 to 2013.
From the Abuja MOU, our perspective, looking at the Western Central African region, that in 2012, the port state inspection vis-a-vis safety and security inspections of board ships, Nimasa only did 156. But in the next few weeks, you are going to have statistics of the 2013 reports. And Nimasa has jumped from 156 to 456 inspections in 2013. I am not surprised. We can see the focus of the administration in Nimasa, and we are very much appreciative.
The closing remarks of the event was given by the Director of Maritime Labour Services, Nimasa, Mrs. Juliana Gunwa, and she reiterated on the importance of the flag state inspection in the successful implementation of the convention. She then urged all authorities to do the needful to ensure that vessels meet the requirements of the MLC 2006.
As we prepare to usher into force the MLC 2006 in June 18, 2014, I wish to remind all of us that the real work begins almost immediately, and we must not relent in our efforts towards improving the living and working conditions of our seafarers and the quality of our flag and port state inspections.
The ED Maritime Safety and Shipping Development, as well as the ED Maritime Labour and Cabotage Services, tells us about Nimasa's preparedness to domesticating the MLC 2006 in some weeks.
We are prepared. I think what we are doing here today is just giving you an evidence of what we want to do when June comes. We have surveyors who have actually been doing this job. As I said in my speech, it's a consolidation. So we need to refresh, train new people, and then by the time we finish from here on Friday, come June, Nimasa will be ready.
Well, it's a program. It's a robust program that started even 2 years back. Now we are at the last stage of it, and that's where we're training the surveyors, those who will go on board the vessels and begin the implementation of the convention. So after today, we will now move into the practical aspect of it, which is the inspection itself. So Nimasa is prepared.
Without a doubt, water transportation is a much safer and cheaper way to move around, proof being that there are fewer accidents on our waterways as opposed to our roads. It is therefore not surprising that it is fast gaining currency among city dwellers and commuters in cosmopolitan areas like Lagos. To stem this ugly tide, Nimasa recently rolled out a 3-day maritime safety awareness campaign all across the nation to sensitize the people on the need to maintain safety measures at all times. The Lagos phase of this campaign took place last week. Our cameras were there, captured every single moment, and our head of studios, Razaki Zebe, put the report together.
Nigeria is a land of abundant resources, blessed with beautiful beaches, lagoons, and lots of aquatic splendor. Its coastline stretches over 853 kilometers, and the inland waterways spread over 8,575 kilometers. Although most of these waterways are used for leisure and recreational purposes, of late, the waterways are fast becoming a popular means of transportation. This is especially true of a cosmopolitan area like Lagos, where there is an urgent need to establish alternative mode of moving around aside from the overstretched road transportation. Water transportation is a cheaper and safer means of transportation, as there are fewer accidents on our waterways as opposed to road transportation. These factors are probably the major determinants for the steady rise in its patronage. The popularity of water as a mode of transportation is lately being threatened by the rising incidents of boat mishaps in Lagos and other parts of the country. As the apex maritime regulatory agency that is awake to its responsibilities, Nimasa rolled out a 3-day maritime awareness safety campaign all across the nation to sensitize the people on the need to observe safety measures when plying the waterways at all times. The Lagos phase of the safety campaign took place recently, with the Nimasa team moving from one jetty to another, educating both the boat operators as well as the passengers on the precautionary measures to be observed to guarantee the safety of lives on our waterways. The journey took the Nimasa team to different jetties, namely Kazan, Liverpool, Ituangun, Ebute Ojo, Majidun, Takwabe and Coconut Jetty, amongst others. For the 3 days that the campaign lasted, the leader of the team, Engineer Isaac Akin Obe, the chief radio surveyor at Nimasa, counseled the boat operators, beach masters and all those engaged in water transportation on the life-saving apparatus they are mandated to carry to prevent loss of lives on our waterways.
On your boat, you are supposed to have the following: 2 wooden paddles, a wooden box filled with sand and painted red on the outside. You are not to smoke, take alcohol or drugs.
In the course of the sensitization campaign, the Nimasa team discovered that some of the boat operators were endangering their lives and that of their passengers by wearing badly fabricated, locally made life jackets that will not save lives in case of a boat mishap. These hazardous life jackets were subsequently confiscated and the operators warned of a stiffer penalty in case of a repeat occurrence.
I will hold you responsible if I see this life jacket in any of the destinations, in any of the jetty. I know your name, I know your position. What we are doing is not to punish you. It is to safeguard the lives of your passenger. If you have problem with your passenger, you have a problem. The government won't leave you alone. They will stop you from operating until inquiries are completed.
The Nimasa team later displayed the IMO-approved life jackets and demonstrated its proper usage.
Make sure that everything is well cooped up. See my belt. In case you are very close to where people are around, you blow the whistle.
The sensitization exercise afforded the boat operators and the commuters to talk about issues that are of concern to them.
I remember like 3 or 4 occasions when this untrained captain or pilot or whatever, the boat almost capsized because of the incompetent way they were driving the boat. And when I got here, I told them the name of the boat. I also showed them the pilot, but I was surprised. After some days, I still saw the same guy still manning the boat, which is not supposed to be so.
I have been in a boat where the captain was sleeping inside the boat, and when I thought that he wanted to somebody want to get to another boat, and then when I now look at the movement of the boat, I looked back and I saw him sleeping. So I called him to order. So before we knew it, the boat broke into 2.
The boat operators and beach masters reacted to some of the allegations made by the passengers and appealed for assistance from the appropriate authority concerning some of the problems they are encountering.
I want to re-emphasize on the need to make the waterway safe for us, especially the issue of charting up the waterway, clearing up the wrecks, and organizing, especially those that work with timber. Sometimes the timber got broken and we don't know that thing is there, so it causes some damages on our businesses. The waterway is usually dirty. Anytime soon now, maybe between now August and so, we realize that the water hyacinth fools the waterway. Our engine got broken and all of that.
Investigations have revealed that most of the accidents on our waterways are caused by man-made errors that could have been avoided if proper safety measures had been observed. Engineer Obey therefore re-emphasized the need for the boat operators to undergo training in Nimasa accredited schools and thereafter obtain proper certification from Nimasa. One of the mandates of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency is to carry out search and rescue, a function that is very crucial in the saving of lives during the incidents of boat mishaps. Volunteers were therefore encouraged to enlist for a collaborative search and rescue squad being put together by the agency.
We need the assistance of boat pilots, deck hands, engine technicians by coming out to volunteer to become a member of this intended National Search and Rescue Force. The aims and objectives of this force is to assist government for rapid response in case of emergency at sea.
At the end of the 3-day Maritime Awareness Safety Campaign, Captain Mohammed Nazif, Assistant Director Search and Rescue at Nimasa, gave us his view regarding the exercise.
They really appreciated it, although they wanted us to give them all the life-saving appliances that they need, but we don't have that one in stock. So we only gave them some samples, at least for them to have something to use when they are acquiring life jackets.
And so we come to the end of this week's edition of the show. As always, we hope we kept you educated and informed. Now, please don't forget, this show is interactive. We want to hear your thoughts, respond to your questions, and even your criticisms. All you need to do is send an email to the address currently showing on your screen. Now, we're going to be here, same time, same station next week. Until then, we're wishing you smooth sailing and bon voyage.